Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Lamar Thorpe, Mayor of the City of Antioch, and I'm delighted to be here today with a few outstanding individuals in our community. I'd like to first introduce you. For those of you who may not be aware, this year we hired a new Parks and Recreation Director, Brad Hefenburger. I was going to say Hefenburger. So he's here with us today. And before, I don't know if you mind, Brad, would you like to introduce yourself so that not everybody in the community knows who you are? It would be great if you shared a little about where you came from, why you came here to Antioch, and then we'll get this party started.
Well, thank you, Mayor Thorpe. Yes, my name is Brad Hefenburger. I'm the new Parks and Recreation Director here for the City of Antioch. I worked for the City of Emeryville for the last 10 years, and much like Antioch, Emeryville was really interested in bringing new youth programming and creating new services and programs for youth in the community. And so I was very excited for the opportunity to come join the City of Antioch because there is a great interest in investing in the youth of our community. So I look forward to working with the community and with the City Council to bring lots of new youth programming and youth initiatives to the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Brad.
And Brad has certainly hit the ground running with his trusted sidekick, Tasha Johnson, who could not be here with us today, but she is our city's Youth Services Network Manager. And so between the two of them, we know we're going to have some outstanding results in the years to come for the City of Antioch. As many of you know, the City of Antioch is the second largest city in our county, and growing, thanks in large part because of youth. As a matter of fact, kids under the age of 18 make up roughly about a third of Antioch's population. For those of you who may not be aware, Antioch's population is a little over 115,000 residents. So that's a sizable population for youth. Before I continue, I want to introduce Councilwoman Tamisha Torres-Walker, who's here with us today. Thank you for being here. And our Parks and Recreation Commission Chair, Marie Arce, who's here with us. And my new homegirls from Moms Demand Action. They're here with us today. So thank you. Thank you. So allow me to tell you a little about our kids. Roughly 72% of Antioch school children are on the free and reduced lunch program. Currently, only 30% of our students here in Antioch are English learners. Currently, only 49% of our students are meeting the state reading standards, and in mathematics, 60% of our children don't meet the state standards. When our seniors graduate high school, only 23% of students are prepared to go to four-year college and university. And I know many of you have heard me cite these statistics before, along with our school board president, Ellie Householder. But please don't take this as an indictment on our school system. As a matter of fact, my hat's off to local teachers for the many instances that they're beating the odds by taking kids living in absolute chaos and producing the Pittsburgh Steelers' first-round NFL draft pick, Najee Harris. Yeah, give it up to our teachers. Producing an undrafted free agent like Isaiah Dunn and taking him all the way to the New York Jets this year. Taking a kid living on the streets of Antioch with his family like Sage Bennett, providing him with a little stability during the day and preparing him to become a full ride scholarship recipient at UC Berkeley. And right now at Antioch High School, there is a 16-year-old little girl who immigrated here from Asia, who is literally literally just a few years ago learned English and is now getting ready to graduate high school and enter her pre-dental program at the University of the Pacific. By no means is this an indictment on our school system. However, it is an indictment on us as a community and what our values reflect. In Antioch, we placed a high premium criminalizing kids than we have been in investing in their development. Don't take my word for it. Look at the city's budget. It's plain as day. And yet, we only seem to talk about our youth when something bad happens, to point out what they're doing wrong, and to treat them with contempt. That's not right. But as mayor, I want our young people to know that I hear you. I hear you when it comes to after-school programs. I hear you when it comes to summer job opportunities and internships, a space for you to express yourselves, and equitably and safely in our community, and much, much more. So this summer, we're going to be launching some very important new things for Antioch, and I'll be advancing some proposals that will go to the council agenda on the 26th. Antioch will be launching 6 youth-centered pilot programs slated to run May through August as a way to offer youth alternatives. We'll just wait for the mailman. The mail's got to get to people's homes. So I'll start again. Antioch will be launching 6 youth-centered pilot programs slated to run May through August as a way to offer youth alternatives to the streets. One of these programs is called the Middle School Pop-Up Park Program. This will be the city's first program that specifically targets middle school students, as our summer recreational programs do not tailor to middle school age students. In addition to that, we'll be expanding the Council of Teens to do more things than what they do today. We'll be launching a COVID-19 social media youth ambassadors program, which I believe is already underway, that specifically focuses on workforce development opportunities, a high school summer internship program, and a Architectural Foundation of San Francisco Build Antioch internship program. So these 3 programs will be focused on internship opportunities, workforce development for the first time, and they specifically deal with children who are in a special age group, and that's 18 to 24 or 15 to 24. So we're excited that we're, for the first time, really zeroing in on youth that otherwise wouldn't have opportunities here in the city. And in addition to that, there are a few other social emotional ones. I talked about the school pop-up program and the youth art expression program. And I believe all these programs will be at no cost to families. These pilot programs will help us gather data and determine scalability. In addition, I'll be advancing 4 measures at the May 25th council meeting in an effort to aid this opportunity. First, we're going to advance an opportunity to develop a midnight basketball initiative that targets middle and high school students. We want to acquire a property for youth to legally and safely use off-road vehicles like ATVs and dirt bikes and whatnot. We want to continue the summer bus pass initiative. And we want to develop a Parks and Recreation rate structure for AUSD students who qualify for the free and reduced lunch program. And for that, I'm going to ask our chair of our Parks and Recreation Committee to share a few more words about that.
Thank you, Mayor Thorpe. My name is Marie Arce, and I am the Parks and Recreation Commission Chair and a part of the Mayor's transition team as the Youth Services and Recreation Advisory Committee Chair. Our Youth Services Advisory Committee has worked to put together programming recommendations that you will learn a little bit more about later, but right now what I'd like to chat about is access. Do the families enrolled in AUSD schools have equitable access to our recreation programming? According to the 2020-21 AUSD income eligible eligibility guidelines for the free and reduced price meal program, a household of 4 cannot make more than $655 per week to qualify for the free meal program, and no more than $933 to qualify for the reduced price meal program. In the 1920 enrollment year, we had 61% of our AUSD families qualifying for the free meal program, and over 70% of our families qualifying for the reduced price meal program in the same year. This is an overall percentage of AUSD, and we had several schools qualify at a higher percentage of over 80%. With this knowledge, we created a mock enrollment enrolling 2 adults and 2 children in the recreation programs to assess the feasibility for our Antioch families. We found that the enrollment fee would consume 42% of the weekly income for those that qualified for the free meal program and 30% of the weekly income for the free or reduced price meal program. We are taking steps to ensure that our AUSD families not only have programming that they're excited to participate in, but they actually have access to, without creating a financial hardship for their families. The Parks and Recreation rate structure for AUSD students that qualify for a free or reduced price meal program is a leap in the right direction. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of our families and AUSD students participating in our programming this summer. Thank you.
Thank you. Obviously, violence continues to be a challenge for many Bay Area cities, including Antioch. We all know gun violence is a national problem, and Antioch is not immune from it. In some parts of Antioch, gun violence is a normal occurrence. I want to thank my colleagues on the City Council for recently passing a resolution calling on the federal government to ban assault weapons, close loopholes, and ban high-capacity magazines and much more. We just can't wait and hope things get better as we've been doing. We have to be intentional and proactive as citizens. And so I've asked Councilmember Tamisha Torres-Walker to join us here today because, in fact, she represents one of our communities that, or a few of our communities that experience gun violence on a regular basis, and it's not fair and it's not right. And so she's going to talk about some initiatives we'll be moving forward on that we'll be proposing to the City Council to start making positive contributions and trying to curtail gun violence in our community.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Hello, Antioch. My name is Tamisha Torres-Walker, and I am City Council member representing District 1. I have continued to say that I've lived in this community for 6 years. When I first came to this community, the first experience I had was with gun violence. I immediately got out in the community, started to talk to faith leaders, at organizations, local police departments, district attorney's office, and others to try to find out what were the efforts to curb gun violence in the city so that me and my son could be safe walking to the store. Well, there were many efforts, but none were sustainable because the city lacked the political will and the investment of finances and intervention and prevention programs and projects that have been proven to curb gun violence. March 29th, I had a meeting with the police chief and the gang unit, and First Lady and Arthur Denise Delahunt to have a discussion about reducing gun violence. At this meeting on March 29th, I was informed by the police chief that the Antioch Police Department and Oakland Police Department launched a joint effort to crack down on gun violence and gangs in the city of Antioch. The press release April 15th was no surprise to me. In that meeting, I thanked the chief for those efforts, and now my son could walk to the store safely. However, I informed the chief that we're not going to arrest our way out of this problem, and that we needed strong partnerships to prevent gun violence in our city. He agreed. Those on the gang unit task force also agreed that more partnerships are necessary because they can only do so much, and they do a lot. I would also like to say that there have been at least 20 incidents involving firearms in this city since January. 2 of those incidents were police-involved shootings. We need to curb gun violence in this city to make our communities safe, not just for residents in District 1, but for residents all over Antioch. But not just gun violence. Violence in general is up in our communities since the pandemic. Suicides are up. Spousal abuse is up in our community. We need to establish a community violence prevention and intervention task force in this city to address violence in this city, and particularly gun violence in this city. I hope that my colleagues on the City Council will join me in the establishment of such a task force that will be led by community in partnership with experts from across the Bay Area and nationally who understand how to curb gun violence, and in addition, our police department, who shows up after a harm has already been committed and is not equipped to curb violence, but is only equipped to respond to violence. Thank you, Mayor Thorpe, for inviting me here to speak today, and I'm looking forward to moving Antioch forward to be a safer Antioch for us all.
I'll switch this real quick. So I'll be advancing 3 items related to this issue. Number one, an ad hoc committee that will be the community-led. Sorry. So I'll be advancing 3 items for the 25th related to this issue. The first one, Councilmember Torres-Walker talked about, related to this community-led violence solution task force. The second will be related to an ordinance, a potential ordinance for safe storage of ammunition. So with that, I'm going to have our representative from Moms Demand Action, Michelle Sinat, talk about that.
Thank you, Mayor Thorpe, and the City of Antioch, and Councilmember Walker, and all of these amazing volunteers here. We are all volunteers. Moms Demand Action. There are more than 393 million civilian-owned firearms in the United States, or enough for every man, woman, and child to own one and still have 67 million guns left over. From March through May of 2020, an estimated 5.9 million guns were sold, which is an 80% increase over the same time period last year. Black Americans are disproportionately impacted by gun violence. They experience nearly 10 times the gun homicides, 15 times the gun assaults, and 3 times the fatal police shootings of white Americans. Firearms are the leading cause of death for American children and teens. More than 1,800 children and teens die by gun homicide every year. Black children and teens are 14 times more likely than white children and teens of the same age to die from gun homicide. Black Americans are nearly 2 times as likely to die from COVID-19 as white Americans, and 4 times as likely to die from gun suicide. Street outreach programs like the ones being proposed by the Mayor and Councilmember Walker are associated with up to 30% reductions of gun injuries. Violence intervention programs provide evidence and community-informed, comprehensive support to individuals who are at the greatest risk of gunshot victimization. I want to talk a little bit about safe storage and the ordinance Mayor was referring to, secure storage prevents shootings by disrupting unauthorized access to firearms. Our homes and communities are made safer and stronger by storing guns securely, storing them locked and unloaded and separate from ammunition. This is what this ordinance would require. And an estimated 54% of gun owners do not lock their guns securely. Every year, 350 children under the age of 18 unintentionally shoot themselves or someone else. 4.6 million children in this country live in a home with at least one unsecured gun. 80% of gunfire on school grounds occurred because shooters under the age of 18 were able to get a gun from their home or their home of a friend or relative that was unsecured. Suicide is impulsive, and with COVID and increasing isolation, the number of suicides is growing. Assume children and teens can find guns in their homes and keep those weapons locked and unloaded will save your child's life. The idea that these devices defeat the purpose of owning a gun for self-defense is simply not true. There are many affordable options for firearms that provide owners with quick access to their guns, but still allow them to be secured safely and safely. And lastly, we saw a 30% increase of unintentional shooting deaths by children in March through May of 2020 versus March through May average over the past 3 years. So the proposals that the council member and Mayor Thorpe are discussing regarding safe storage ordinances and city gun violence prevention measures work. Moms Demand Action supports these initiatives, and we thank you very much for your time today, and let's make Antioch a safer place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And of course, the last item is something that our Parks and Recreation Commissioner Marie Arce has been working on. And it goes back to what I said originally, which is we've got to invest in our children. And so if we're not investing in those long-term programs, literally we're not saving our children. So I'm going to invite Marie Arce to come talk about the long-term programming we want to look at moving forward.
Thank you, Mayor Thorpe. I'm really excited to share with you some of the programs that our Youth Services and Recreation Advisory Committee is going to be proposing to the City Council for their consideration on May 25th. During our committee process, we worked with a youth focus group to gather their inputs as well as their feedback on all programming recommendations, and we also reached out to the public and other community-based organizations for their input as well. When creating our youth programming recommendations, we wanted to ensure that the following principles were considered. That our programs should engage youth as partners and leaders in our community. Build community engagement. Provide equitable, sustainable, and inclusive programming for our youth. Create opportunities to combat food inequality. And lean on our community-based organizations that we have here already in our community. We have several great organizations that would like to partner with the city and also have the same goals to help our youth in our community. I'm excited to share some of these programs that we are taking to the council for consideration. And the first is food access for youth and families through a farmers market. When considering our goals to create opportunities to combat food inequality in our community while engaging and educating the young people in our community, we looked around throughout our community and we analyzed where we have the most inequitable access to fresh fruits and vegetables. We recognize that the downtown area has limited options for residents to have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. In an effort to provide equitable access to fresh fruits and vegetables and create opportunity for our youth, we are recommending to create a youth-based farmers market that empowers our youth to learn directly from the farmers, about sustainable farming and preparing fresh fruits and meals. During our youth focus group, this was actually one of their favorite programs, and one of the areas of interest to learn about sustainable farming. One of our other exciting programs is our Youth Job Readiness program for transitional foster youth through Family Harvest Farm. Family Harvest Farm is a part of the John Muir Land Trust in Pittsburgh, and it employs transition-age foster youth and a hands-on job readiness program. It teaches them marketable skills and prepares them for life outside of the foster care system. One of my favorite aspects about this farm is that it actually reduces carbon emissions and increases biodiversity. This program has several possibilities that the community can explore, from connecting our own Antioch transition-age foster youth to this program. We can add some after-school and summer programs, create standalone youth education workshops, and possibly create Antioch's own Family Harvest Farm. With Antioch having the largest population of foster youth in all of East County, this program makes sense. It acknowledges, supports, and creates opportunity for our foster youth here in Antioch. Our next program is to create an inclusive environment for community members of all abilities. Contra Costa County has 10% of its members disabled, and 22,000 adults and children in the East Bay have a level of developmental disability, according to the Regional Center for the East Bay. While there are many day programs that are available in our community for children and adults, there's a lack of space, accessibility, and parental knowledge. Many day programs spend their time in our parks because it is free, and there is no reliable access to consistent spaces or adaptive programs. In extreme weather months, this is a health threat. When engaging with members of our organizations in our community, with our special needs community, we're advised that there are limited options for engagement with our recreation department and no access to these kinds of programming. We're proposing that our recreation department provide consistent drop-in space for day programs, create adaptive programming to ensure that our All Abilities community has access to recreation programming. We'd like to partner with The Exceptional to expand their special needs community dance capacity and include wraparound services for families during these events. Additionally, we'd like to hold an annual All Abilities Day at the Pruitt Family Water Park with discounted rates for adults and children with special needs. These programs will create an opportunity for our families to create a level of community within their own communities. They will have community support and engage on a different level with Antioch. Lastly is our after-school summer programming and just the general needs that our youth communicated during our focus group. We looked at what we have to offer for the youth in terms of school programming in our community and with our city. And we do have options, but what we wanted to know was what the youth wanted. Please keep in mind that the youth focus group does not represent the entire youth of Antioch, and we are recommending that we do a full-scale survey of our Antioch youth so that all of our Antioch youth is heard. These programs and goals were developed with the committee and the youth focus group. And some of the goals are a music development program, workshop. We've reached out to LMC and they've agreed to partner with us and allow that program to have some level of involvement with their recording studio. A progressive coding course as technology continues to advance, preparing our youth, and we can also partner with CDOs like Galaxy Kids. A basketball mentorship program. They'd like to establish a community garden. The youth would like volunteer service project opportunities. There are a lot of CBOs that we can partner with, such as Share Community. They'd like a dedicated space for them to feel welcome and safe, and this confirms the 2019 City Council study that they found, where they also did want to have a level of their own space to call their own. Opportunities to connect with employers, possibly through a career expo, where they learn life skills and job readiness courses, which Mayor Thorpe advised earlier that he and Tasha Johnson, as well as Brad Hefenburger, are already working on. Lastly, the youth would like to see their trails and our traffic safety are improved Services and Recreation Committee and the Youth Focus Group and the community members that offered their overwhelming support and their input during this process. I am confident that together we can create a safe and enjoyable space for our youth in Antioch. Thank you.
Okay, and so our last area here is around passes. Last area here is around
He needs that place.
He needs that place. Brad, can we put that on? So finally, I'll be advancing 5 additional measures on the 25th to proactively deal with traffic and school safety issues. Number 1, we want to review all Antioch K-12 campuses, public, charter, and private, to determine if additional traffic calming measures are needed. We also want to develop I'll be proposing the development of a bicycle garden that will provide hands-on bicycle pedestrian and driver safety education designed for both programmed and independent learning in a comfortable, fun, and permanent car-free facility. One of the more difficult elements of being an elected official is having to hear the voice of a grieving mother who has lost their child, irrespective of what the circumstances were. From Angelo Quinto to Jonathan Parker's mom, you never forget the pain in their heart that comes through in their voice as they express themselves to you about what they want to see change. And Alicia Earle, mother of Jonathan Parker, whose son was unfortunately murdered right here across the street at Deer Valley High School after a basketball game. With only one simple goal: that we prevent what happened to her son from happening to any other one of our children in this community. And so what she's asked for is extra security at major AUSD events that can unfortunately, this is where this tragedy happened. So we'll be advancing a measure to authorize overtime for police officers at major AUSD student events, like rivalry student events, sporting events. We want to launch a school watch and care program. We'd like to ask our Crime Prevention Commission, so similar to Business Watch, that we ask our Neighborhood Watch volunteers to volunteer at basketball and football games, major events. Keep a watchful eye of our young people. If you see suspicious activity, people walking towards a gymnasium 10-15 minutes before a game ends, we just need people taking a watchful eye and watching our children. So we can take that model and institute it and assist Antioch Public Schools in making sure these event environments become even more safer for our young people. We also want to increase campus safety personnel on our high school campuses. And so with that, I'll hand it over to Councilmember Torres-Walker to talk about the importance of increasing campus safety at our local schools.
Hello everyone. Again, I appreciate this opportunity to be before you today, especially to talk about campus safety. For many years, I've had the opportunity to work on school climate and school safety as a parent and an advocate. So I was really excited to be appointed to the City and School Standing Committee for the City of Antioch and the Antioch Unified School District. I want to say a friend of mine, Pastor Michael McBride, he said about a week ago that we operate in a deficit love for our young people. For those of you who don't know what deficit means, look it up. I'm sure that Ariana Grade, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, stepping up last year, felt this deficit love around budget requests as well as public policy. I'm sure that young people feel this deficit love when they do not feel safe at school. And that is not just the fault of the school district, because I'm sure that young people feel this deficit love when they do not feel safe going to and coming from school. So I will be calling upon the school and city standing committee members to hopefully meet so that we can soon address the issues surrounding school climate, school site safety plans, as well as training and hiring of campus security professionals to keep our school sites safe. I appreciate the mayor for having these tough discussions and compromising and understanding the complexities in our community, and hope that we do have more security at games. But we also need people prepared and trained to address the issues of safety on our campuses, and I'm hoping that the Antioch School District board members and committee members are ready to work in collaboration to make this happen. I'll also be recommending that we review and evaluate the REACH program, which from what I hear is a program between the police department, the city of Antioch, and the Antioch School District. I heard that this program has had much success, but I've seen very little results myself or reports, and I'm hoping that we can evaluate this program. We can either expand or extend this program, fund it to scale, or get rid of it if it is not working for our most vulnerable young folks. Thank you again, Antioch. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Moms Demand Action, Recreation Team, and others.
All right, so those are our proposals.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Those are our proposals, and I hope the community listen with open ears, and that you continue to engage with us as we move forward. There's a lot of opportunity, I think, happening with our city. As we enter these summer months, all I can say to our young people is plead with you not to resort to guns. You know, as a Councilmember Torres-Walker and I are the only ones who have children in our local schools. That doesn't mean other council members haven't had children in our local schools, but some of them are grandparents and whatnot. We're literally raising kids right now in our community, and we just want them to be safe. So we'll be criticized for being bold and suggesting that we should have a voice in what happens on our school campuses. But I don't care. This is an important issue. We're parents, and we're pleading with our young people to be safe this summer, to cease fire. If you're tempted to use a gun, please don't. We want to help, but we can't do it with violence. We want to meet you 99% of the way there, but you got to meet us 1% of the way there as well. I plead with young people not to arm themselves or use guns as we near the summer months. And I want to thank everybody who's here today. Moms Demand Action, thank you for all that you do and you're doing across the country. Literally, you're changing policy. And I know that it's always difficult. They're not always listening up in Washington. And even though it's common sense, but damn it, we're listening here. We're listening here. We're going to demand action. We're going to demand action from Congressman McNerney, Congressman Lasaunier. It's not just enough to say, I want to vote for this. Whatever old-fashioned politics they got to get into to get people to vote with their Republican colleagues to pass common sense gun reform is so important, because our young people's lives depend on it. And we're tired of seeing the deaths. We're tired of getting texts from our chief of police saying we had another homicide. It's enough. And I call on all young people to cease fire. I call on family members. I beg you, when you see your young person, your cousin, your uncle, whoever it is, pick up that weapon, try to do something stupid, call the police, talk to them, do something other than just be a bystander. I need you to work with us so that we can keep our people alive. Thank you very much, everybody, for taking the time to be here today.
Questions? Yes. And it's obviously a question for both you and Councilwoman Tamisha Walker, since both of you voted against the federal grant for $750,000 to have SROs, police officers on the campus. You're talking about security on campus and then keeping the kids safe. So what is it you're talking about, Councilwoman Torres-Walker? You said specifically professionals, school safety professionals. Councilwoman, you said school safety professionals. Who are you referring to?
I think what she's referring to is site safety. They literally get trained on ed code.
Okay, well, I was asking her. I was asking her specifically about school safety professionals. You used that term.
Yeah, so
Can you repeat the question in the mic?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What do you mean by school site professionals?
what I mean by school campus safety professionals is that every school district has school site safety folks who are on campus who are supposed to de-escalate issues of violence, who are supposed to mentor young people, mediate conflicts, connect young people to resources. Every school district has this. And so what we need to do is make sure that they're trained and equipped to also respond when instances of violence are on the rise in our school sites. Now, yes, absolutely, I voted against the federal grant. Just like late 2019, when there was an opportunity to apply for millions of CalVIP funding to reduce gang and gun violence in our city, was passed up by elected officials in the city as well as the police chief. So we can't throw stones living in a glass house.
Can you go after that Cal grant funds? Or is that still available?
So CalVIP funds are CalVIP
BIP, okay.
funds are always available. Moms Demand Action has been taking a banner across California, having elected officials, our mayor signed on, elected officials and residents, a couple residents and faith leaders signed on last weekend. This funding is for intervention and prevention for gun violence and gang violence. It's in the millions. I believe it was about 9 million, and this campaign is to increase those funding at the state level. Antioch has an opportunity to get this funding.
Thanks. And then for those of you who have prepared remarks, if you could email them, because I can't type as fast as you can talk.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Good.
If nothing else, thank you all.
Happy Mother's Day to all of you.
And happy Cinco de Mayo to you because of
Clearly.
who raised you.